Peace and blessings, good people. Peace and blessings. Let's speak on this tragic incident. Young Karmelo Anthony and the Metcalf Twins. Now, I knew it was something to miss when the Metcalf family hit the news immediately to tell their story. Now, I haven't been watching this a lot, right? Because it's negative. You understand what I'm saying? But there is some audio from a witness that was there at the track meet. Okay, we've come to learn that the track meet was not at a school. Okay, it was away from a school, right? And this audio clip is from someone who was actually there. Let's listen to the clip, and then I'm gonna give my 9 cents on it.
For a fact, run the tape again.
It was raining. They got rained out like crazy bad. Everybody trying to get back to their cars or get in, places where they, wouldn't get all extra wet. Dude, was sitting up under the tent, right? He was on his phone, right? My daughters was up under the same goddamn tent. Yeah. So
let's pause it. Okay, what we do know is that it was raining hard. The kid, Karmelo Anthony, went up under the tent, maybe to avoid the rain. This witness on this audio clip, who is a black man, said that his kids were also under the same tent. He said the people there were scrambling to get out of the rain. Karmelo Anthony went under the tent to avoid the rain. He wasn't bothering anybody. He was on his phone. Let's continue to listen.
I'm paying attention to my kids, but at the same time, they're in the same vicinity, so I'm watching everything going on around it because I'm there for my children. So, dude walks up, McCullen, bro. He wasn't even under the tent at the time. They came from a whole separate tent and walked over there. They.
Now listen. Black people know about racism. Now the fact that this kid was unalive, tragic, right? I have 2 sons myself, and I wouldn't want to receive that type of news about one of my sons being unalived. All right. I feel for the parents and their loss, and anybody with a heart can understand it's a grave situation. I have a question though, okay? Because this witness said that these twins, the Metcalf brothers, were not even under the tent, right? They walked over to this young brother and confronted him first, okay? Not only that, they proceeded to put hands on this brother, right? Now, we got the conversation from one of the brothers about how the situation happened, okay? And this audio is coming from a witness that seen it happen. So my question is, if these kids were so great, right? Because we heard how great they were, their futures, what their futures look like. We heard all of this, okay? If they were so great, then where was the sportsman like conduct? If they were taught so well, right? If they were taught so well, then why didn't they take the high road? Okay. You ask, why did this kid have a knife in his bag? Right? People want to know why this kid had a knife in his bag. Do we have to look into the history of Frisco, Texas, and what it might be like for the black people that live in Frisco, Texas, right? He had this knife in his bag for a reason. Now, I'm not saying he had the knife in his bag for any reason other than possibly being worried about his day to day, okay? Possibly being worried about his day to day and having it for defense. And maybe we can see why with the actions of the Metcalf twins. They left the tent that they were in or wherever they were, came over to the tent where the young brother was, and confronted him. Not only confronted him, but they put hands on him, right? So let's see if there's any more left to this audio.
He intentionally went over there to this kid, man. Dude was sitting up.
Operative words. He went over to the kid with intent. Now, didn't one of the brothers say, you can't be up under the tent, you gotta leave? And then he said that Karmelo Anthony said, make me leave, right? And the kid who was unalived actually went over there and tried to make this kid get from under the tent. Who gave him the right? Why did he feel like he had the right to make anybody leave the tent? If it was so much of a problem, why didn't he go get a coach? Why didn't he go get an adult? Someone that he could tell that maybe Karmelo Anthony was making them feel uncomfortable and he had to leave. But that wasn't even the case, okay? From the witness said that Karmelo Anthony wasn't bothering anybody. He was on his phone trying to escape the rain like everybody else.
On his phone, just trying to get dry. You feel me? One thing went from another. They grabbed this man and they tried to punch on dude. Dude went in his bag and whatever. They went to try to jump this dude and punch on this dude, man. And he protected himself, dude. That's what happened. Yeah. It wasn't just one. It was both of them, bro. Austin, the dude that got unalive, and his brother physically went over there to intentionally. He had it's not to the point that he brought a knife. For one, it wasn't on school property. The school is at least 5 to 10 miles away. It was community track meet, bro. It wasn't a school track meet. So he had the right to have a knife on his person, bro.
And see, in my last video.
And see, now that's a whole plot twist. Because how it was told that maybe this young brother was the problem. But as we hear from a witness that was there, the kid wasn't a problem at all. The problem was these bully twins. Okay? You can look at some of their pictures for those who can look at people's faces and you can kind of see their spirit. You can see the look on their faces and you can see how they possibly think. So I'm going to ask the question again. Was it right for the Metcalf twins to leave their position to go over to Karmelo Anthony and confront him and put their hands on him? Why did they feel the need to walk over to Carmelo Anthony, right? Because one of them said, well, the brother who was alive said they didn't even know this kid. Why did they go over to this kid and confront them and put them hands on this kid if it wasn't about racism? Why did they do it? If they were taught well, why didn't they take the higher road, right? Utilize sportsman-like conduct and just let the young brother sit in the rain. But something went off in their minds, possibly how they were taught by their parents, that when you see black people, right, then you do something about it. Okay? Now, under self-defense, no one knows how a person is going to react. But isn't it interesting? Because that brother, young brother, had that knife in his bag for a reason. Now, is this the treatment that young black people got to face every day? Racist behavior? Okay? And like I said, hey, this is a tragic situation. But let's think, if this young kid who was unalived, if he would have took the higher ground and did nothing, but let that kid, Carmelo Anthony, sit under the tent out of the rain, would he still be here today? Let's ask that question again. If the kid didn't go over and bother and confront and intentionally put their hands on this kid, would he be alive today? And so when I heard this news, right, I already knew what it was. Because most young black kids, especially in a sports match, do not act in a racist capacity. Okay? You will find that most young black kids that go to compete, they go to compete and that's it. And if I'm wrong, let's find some footage of where there's black kids threatening, being racist towards white kids at sports matches. Okay? I think this kid did this, both of them did it with intent. All right, there might be some tough little white kids where they're from. Okay, we got this music going on, and I don't want to add all of that into it, but there's a lot going on right now, right? Where these kids get inside their head and they feel like they have to prove something, they have to prove a point. But my thing is, and I know very well, if that kid would have never said anything to this black kid, he will still be here today. Okay? And for those that are racist, you racist white people, for those that are racist, you continue to be racist. But don't be racist in secret. Okay? Let us know that you're teaching your kids to hate and be ignorant. Right? And to the very great people out there that got open hearts, right, who lead their lives through love, these are the white people that we respect, because no one wins the race in racism. And at this time, we should think, was it a good thing to do for that kid to exercise his privilege? Was it a good thing to do? And would he be here today if he would have took the higher ground, the godly ground, the spiritual ground, right? And just left the kid alone, let him go do his thing, right? That kid would be here today. sad situation. But we got to see through the bullshit. We got to see through the media, and we got to see through the lies. Okay? I'm a father. I stand behind Karmelo Anthony. I wouldn't want my kids to be in a situation, but all I can do, right, for my kids, depending on the situation, okay, you can walk away from it, all right? But if anybody puts their hands on you, you have the right to defend yourself by any means necessary, okay? The best thing a kid can do, especially at any sports match or living their lives or whatever, keep your hands to yourself, and then you don't have to worry about anything. And with that, I'm going to leave it right there. Continue to stay great. Until next time, this is Grand Kush. Thanks for viewing. Y'all take it easy.